Did you know that the deadliest weapon in history has been responsible for millions of deaths? And it's not what you think. Our journey begins in the Stone Age, where the first deadly tools were as simple as sharpened stones and wooden clubs. These rudimentary weapons, wielded by our earliest ancestors, were the first steps in a march that would lead us to the complex warfare of today. As we leap forward to the Bronze Age, the tools of war evolved. The introduction of metalworking allowed for the creation of swords and spears that were far more lethal than their stone counterparts. The innovation didn't stop there. With the advent of metal came the possibility of making tools sharper, stronger, and more durable. These primitive tools, both stone and metal, were the harbingers of what was to come. They were the precursors to the deadly technology that would later shape our world. From stone to metal, these basic weapons have shaped the course of human history, leading to the development of more sophisticated and deadly tools of war. The invention of gunpowder changed the face of warfare forever. Our journey takes us back to the 9th century, to the land of the rising sun, China, a place known for its rich history, culture, and the birthplace of one of the most influential discoveries in the history of warfare: gunpowder. Gunpowder, or as it was known in its early form, fire drug, or huayao in Mandarin, was initially concocted by Chinese alchemists in their quest for immortality. Ironically, this pursuit of life led to the creation of a tool that would bring death on an unprecedented scale. The Chinese, recognizing the potential of this explosive mixture of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate, quickly put it to use in warfare, creating the first rudimentary firearms. They were crude, unpredictable, and dangerous to both the wielder and the enemy. But they were effective. The transition from primitive weapons to firearms was as profound as it was swift. For centuries, the might of an army was measured by the strength and skill of its soldiers, the sharpness of their swords, the distance their arrows could travel. But the advent of gunpowder weapons changed the game entirely. Now, the battlefield was dominated by the terrifying boom of the cannon and the whiz of bullets. The deafening roar of gunpowder weapons instilled fear and chaos in the ranks of the enemy. The destructive power of an army was no longer tied to the physical prowess of its soldiers, but to the firepower they wielded. The introduction of firearms brought about a revolution in warfare, a revolution that was bloody and brutal. Battles became more deadly, the death tolls rose dramatically, and the face of warfare was forever altered. Gunpowder, a discovery born out of a quest for life, had paradoxically turned into a harbinger of death. This potent mixture, combined with human ingenuity, gave birth to firearms, changing the course of human history. Firearms greatly increased the destructive power of armies, leading to bloodier battles and higher death tolls. Sometimes, the deadliest weapons are those you can't see. In the shadows of history, a new kind of warfare was being brewed, one that traded bullets and bombs for invisible killers that could wipe out entire populations without a single explosion. Welcome to the age of chemical and biological warfare. The first large-scale use of chemical weapons came during the First World War. The landscape of battle was changed forever in 1915 when German forces released a cloud of chlorine gas on the Western Front. The gas was denser than air, causing it to sink into the trenches, choking and blinding those caught in its path. This marked a grim milestone in warfare, the first major use of a weapon designed not to wound or kill outright, but to incapacitate and terrify. The aftermath of World War I saw the Geneva Protocol of 1925, an international agreement prohibiting the use of chemical and biological weapons in warfare. But the ink had barely dried before nations were secretly developing more potent and deadly agents. Fast forward to the Cold War, a period of political tension and arms race between the superpowers. Here, biological weapons took center stage. The United States and the Soviet Union, among others, poured resources into weaponizing diseases, creating strains of viruses and bacteria that could be used to decimate enemy forces and civilian populations alike. Anthrax, botulism plague, smallpox, these weren't just diseases anymore. They were potential weapons of mass destruction. The terrifying potential of these weapons to cause mass casualties was chillingly demonstrated during the anthrax outbreak in the Soviet city of Sverdlovsk in 1979, a stark reminder of the devastating power of these invisible killers. In this age of chemical and biological warfare, the battlefield was no longer just a physical space. It was the human body itself, the air we breathe, the water we drink. These weapons introduced a new era of fear and uncertainty, where the enemy was unseen and the threat could strike anywhere, at any time. The advent of chemical and biological warfare introduced a new era of fear and uncertainty in the realm of combat. The 20th century brought about a weapon so devastating it has the potential to wipe out life on Earth. Welcome to the atomic age. During the tumultuous years of World War II, scientists harnessed the power of the atom, leading to the creation of a weapon of untold destructive power, the nuclear bomb. In the final stages of the war, 2 of these bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, causing unprecedented devastation and loss of life. These events marked the beginning of a new era in warfare, one where the stakes were infinitely higher. The ongoing threat of nuclear warfare has since cast a long, ominous shadow over the world. Despite efforts to control the proliferation of these weapons, many nations possess nuclear capabilities, making the potential for destruction all the more real. Nuclear weapons have forever changed the landscape of warfare, introducing the terrifying possibility of total annihilation. As we look to the future, the question remains, what's next in the evolution of deadly weapons? Over the course of this video, we've journeyed from the dawn of deadly tools to the birth of firearms, through the age of chemical and biological warfare, and into the atomic age. Each era marked by innovation, devastation, and the constant push and pull between offense and defense. Now, we find ourselves on the precipice of a new era. The rise of drones and cyber warfare signifies a shift towards remote, impersonal conflict. War is no longer just about physical might, but technological prowess. Warfare is becoming less about boots on the ground and more about bytes in the ether. While we can't predict what the future holds, the history of deadly weapons serves as a stark reminder of our capacity for destruction and our responsibility to prevent it. As we move forward, may we remember the lessons of our past and use our power wisely.